There's a number of neurodegenerative diseases that have been studied for some time. Mostly we've talked about marijuana and how it provides symptomatic relief to some of these diseases, particularly multiple sclerosis. What we're finding out now is that rather than just symptomatic relief, cannabinoids can actually slow down the progression of some of these very serious diseases like MS, like Parkinson's disease, like Alzheimer's, and like Lou Gehrig's disease. Why do I say that? There was a very important study that was published in 2003 by a research team out of the University College of London. I know Bob Mellody talks about this study quite a bit too. What they were doing was they gave animals a model of multiple sclerosis. They gave them allergic encephalomyelitis, and then they gave them cannabinoids. And what they found out that in addition to symptom management, cannabis may also slow down the neurodegenerative processes that ultimately lead to chronic disability in MS and probably other diseases. Essentially what they found out was marijuana wasn't giving just symptomatic relief, it was actually slowing down the progression of the disease itself. Another neurodegenerative disease, Lou Gehrig's disease, or ALS, was studied by a research team, once again at California Pacific Medical Center here in San Francisco. As most people know, we have very little treatment, effective treatments for Lou Gehrig's disease. In this case, it was reported that delta-9 THC was effective when it was before the onset of ALS symptoms in a mouse model. It delayed some of the symptoms of the disease, but more importantly, it actually prolonged survival in the treated mice compared to the untreated mice. They concluded that delta-9 THC was well tolerated, and in fact, it and other cannabinoids may prove down the line to be a novel therapeutic target for the treatment of ALS. Alzheimer's disease, this was a study done in Spain once again. They took human brain tissue from patients that had Alzheimer's disease that had died. And when they examined the brain tissue, one commonality they found was that the endocannabinoid receptors in the brain of these patients that had Alzheimer's disease, they hadn't been working well at all when compared to controls. So when they found that, they said, okay, well, let's test this theory in rats. So they injected rats with a chemical that would bring about cognitive decline, and then they gave them cannabinoids. And what they found out was, as you see in the conclusion, cannabinoids succeeded in preventing the neurodegenerative process occurring in Alzheimer's disease. You know, once again, we're talking about this idea of memory and the fact that for years the federal government has told you that smoking marijuana kills brain cells, smoking marijuana kills your memory. Now they're talking about it actually delaying the onset of Alzheimer's disease. I find the irony quite remarkable, if once again somewhat quite offensive. Lastly, I want to talk a little bit about this idea of what is the effect of marijuana on the brain and cognition. We know what the government says, but what does the science say? This is a study actually that was done in 2001 out of Harvard by a lead researcher named Harrison Pope. I actually think this is a fairly important study. It's one of the better ones that has been done on this subject. In these cases, most of these studies are done in the United States. The government has no problem giving marijuana and having humans smoke it because when they're looking for cognitive deficits. So it's much more easier to get these studies funded. This was a study where they actually had 180 subjects. 63 of the subjects were considered to be current or heavy users. That was defined as having smoked at least 5,000 or more times. There were 45 former heavy users, which mean at some point in their life they had smoked marijuana at least 5,000 times. And then they had 72 controls, which meant that they had defined themselves as having smoked marijuana less than 50 times. What they found out was that long-term cannabis smokers who abstained from the drug for 1 week showed virtually no significant differences from control subjects on a battery of 10 neuropsychological tests. Former heavy users who had consumed little or no cannabis in the 3 months prior to testing also showed no significant differences from control subjects on any of these tests on any testing days. I should add that they tested these subjects at 1 day, 7 days later, and then 28 days later. They concluded that while they did note some minor cognitive deficits detectable in the very heavy users for 7 days, these effects did not appear to be long-lived, and in fact, at 28 days, even the long-term users tested exactly the same as the controls on this battery of 10 neuropsychological tests.
We so happy we alive, we together can survive. Stop the bullshit, stop the lies, and now's the time to legalize. Tell me brother, tell me true, what the hell we gonna do? Remember the days we saw purple haze. 1 and 1 is 3. Hey, hey, baby, what you do to me? We so happy, we alive, we together can survive. Mother Nature, heaven sent, don't belong to government. Hey there sister, what's the plan? Do you really understand? Remember the days we saw purple haze. 1 and 1 is 3. Hey, hey, baby, what you do to me? We so happy, we alive, we together can survive. Stop the bullshit, stop the lies, now's the time to legalize. Half the world up in smoke, where on earth can we take the tug? Remember the days we saw purple haze. 1 and 1 is 3. Hey, hey, baby, what you do to me? Human nature full and free modifies reality. Open up, inner flower, peace and love, inner power. Open up, inner flower, peace and love, inner power. Remember the days we saw purple haze. 1 and 1 is 3. Hey, hey, baby, what you do to